Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, it's going to be the Ines setup for breach tracking. Disclaimer, run this solo for the best experience. Duo would work fine as well, but trio or squad, the DPS does fall off, but that's just because of scaling. So let's get right on into today's video. So let's start off with the build that you are going to want to rock on Ines. Now, starting off, you will be going with mid-air maneuvering, at least for your movement on this character. Next up, for the red mod, you can go with Time of the Hunting Hounds, but if you don't want to use this, you don't have to. It's completely optional. In this instance, I do prefer to use it, so I am going to slap this on, and that is just going to be a personal preference thing. So, yeah, that's just because I like using it. Now, the other parts of this build are basically going to be the following. We're going to want to spam abilities within this, so we are going to go straight in with cooldown. Now, with cooldown, we want to be as close to cooldown cap as possible, so we are going to go with MP conversion, nimble fingers, focus on tech, and we will also be going with focus on electric, if I can find it. Yeah, we'll be going with focus on electric too. Now, with Ines, her best scaling is all going to come through MP, so we want to be building for MP as much as we can. Now, with MP, the 3 or 4 main mods we will be using is going to be Enlightenment, HP conversion for MP, and these two will be enough to basically pull our MP all the way up, as well as Ancestor a little bit later. Now, with Ines, we do want a tiny bit of quality of life, so that's just range on her 4. That's pretty much it. Now, for Ines, once we do have all of our damage coming in, we are going to want to go with crit damage for her. So if we search up critical, if we search up critical over here, just crit damage over here, emergency measures and front lines is going to be enough. Now, I can hear you guys complaining about the health on Ines. Don't worry, I will show you how to counter that a little bit later. Now, for the trigger mod with Ines, again, it's just going to be Power Beyond. This works on her 4th ability. So, yeah, it's going to work. And we're going to get a nice 15% skill power buff on here anyways. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty much all you are going to want to go with for Ines in this specific instance. So, let's have a look at the other parts of this build. So, let's have a look at the reactor. But before that, real quick, we're going to throw our 2 weapons in. And I say 2 weapons because number 1 is going to be a stat stick and number 2 is going to be a DPS. So let's go with that. Now, even over here with your reactor, it's going to be electric and tech. So with this, you want to go with an electric tech reactor because of her abilities, and then tech and crit damage. You could also go with cooldown on here to basically reach cooldown cap, but I prefer the DPS personally, so that goes with that. Cooldown would also be really good on this reactor as well, so that's something that you might want to consider. Next up, let's have a look at the external components. Now, the external components for this build is going to be fairly simple and also kind of odd. First off, we start off with 2 pieces of Hunter set. So we're going to go with the Hunter Power and also with the Hunter Processor. Next, we're going to go with 2 parts of Circulation. Specifically with Ines over here, because of the way that this is set up, we want consistency over everything else. And this will increase our damage output even more. So we're going to go with max HP, MP recovery out of combat, max MP recovery in combat. Would be nice if I actually got it. MP recovery modifier and defense or electric resistance, and then max shield recovery modifier or toxic resistance. For your components, the cores on here, you're going to want to go with max HP and defense across every single one of them. And yeah, that's pretty simple. My build was completely different than Alyssa's and I died. I just never did enough damage. Skill issue. Follow this build guide. Skill issue, bro. Okay, that's external components done and dusted, so let me show you the Arche tuning tree. Now, with the Arche tuning tree, there is 2 variations. So, variation number 1 is going to be the full DPS Arche tree. Now, this full DPS variation is going to work better for damage. However, this is where we are going to counter our survivability problems. So, over here, you are going to want to go down and grab Arche Overheat Shield. The condition for this is you must keep your shields intact, so you basically have to kill / hit every mob and avoid being hit. This is completely possible with Ines. You will stun them immediately with her conductor and basically 1 to 2 tap them in solo, so you'll be completely fine. If you are suffering from survivability, this is the second variation of this tree. You will be able to run this, except you can grab your health from over here and you will be fine. In terms of the actual health on the build, if you look over here on the Descendant, normally I have 5,000 on here. However, when you are running with this tree on instead, you will get taken up to 7,000, it showed before. So 7,000 plus in the lab, so don't worry about that. Next up, let's go back onto that tree just because I prefer it. Now, with the last bit of this build, we'll go over the weapons and inversions. For the weapons, the secret garden is basically just here to be a stat stick. 2 sprint cores and 1 grapple core is going to be all you need on here. Next up, you're going to want brisk walk on there just to make yourself move a little bit faster, and if you want a DPS build, this is what you would want to go with. Now, for the shadow, this is going to be our main source of actual boss nuking DPS. The cores are as following: a attack core, toxic core, 2 damage cores and 1 chance core. For your substats, you'd want to go with chance, toxic, damage. Trigger rate is cool, or you could go with legion specific, so you can go with Legion of Breach or Legion of whatever. The only problem with that is, of course, in breach tracking, it's a little bit unpredictable. As for the build on the dais, or sorry, on the sword, here, this is what I've gone with. You want to build this for multi-hit or consecutive attack, it's called, and this is what you'd want to run for some very nice DPS and absolute easy boss nuking. Now, for your inversions, you will want to go with the health inversion. This is of course going to give you way more experience and better experience with your health. Then you'd also want to go with the other health one, the cellular stimulation, so you can also grant more health from there. With this, you have the choice of running the cooldown one to run cooldown cap temporarily, or you can run skill cost with Ines. Either way, it is completely fine. I'd like to use Arche circulation tactic personally, so that is going to be my own preference. Next up, we have the Ancestor mod. So for Ancestor mod with Ines, this is where it's going to be. With this, ideally, you want to be replacing Focus on Electric. So off the bat, you want to have cooldown on here as well. If you reach cooldown cap with Ines, which is very possible if you don't use an Ancestor, you can absolutely benefit from it more. More spam equals more damage, so on and so forth. So ideally, you want MP as your most important stat. Crit damage is also very important too. Tech is not too bad either, but ideally you would want to have a cooldown on here as well with a harmless negative, like negative shield or negative defense or something. Now with this as well, that's pretty much all you're actually going to need on the Ancestor for Ines, and that's pretty much it. This is just a variation of the build in Axion anyways. Like I said, you can go with this just because you want to have consistency. You can also use the bravery set in here, so bravery does work in here, but I still prefer this just because it's more consistent, and for you guys it would be better to play with this sort of consistency as well. You sometimes end up gambling with bravery, so you know, it is what it is. Next up, let's have a quick look at some gameplay for breach tracking as well. So let me just quickly pull a run up that I did a moment ago, and we'll have a quick look at this one. Now with this gameplay over here, you'll see that I'm running inside of a White Knight Gold style set, I believe it is. So let's have a look at some breach tracking. With Ines, right off the bat, you're just going to use your first ability, and then our second ability is going to be the main thing to spread our DPS. If you did not know this already, Ines' second ability is where all of her real DPS is hiding. Her 4 and her 1 just spread it, but her 2 is where the real damage is. You can see here consistently, I am doing well. I've literally not been touched. There you go, I've just been touched now, so I've lost the DPS increase on my off my mutant cell. But you can see here, we're just going to be using Ines' first and second ability. We aren't able to fully spam it because I'm not cooldown capped. I believe running cooldown on my trigger mod, or sorry, on the reactor would also have helped with this, but I didn't do that. So this is basically what you'd be expecting. Ideally, it's more so about learning spawns and everything, and once you do learn spawns, you can definitely do more DPS, and then elites is going to get taken care of by the shadow. As you can see here, using the shadow's unique ability dash and just the shadow in itself is more than enough to absolutely pile drive any one of the mobs. You got to be a little bit careful and get used to aiming the shadow, but once you do, you are able to pretty much just yeet into every boss and essentially delete them. This is inherently important, especially for the final boss, so you'll see me using this quite a bit. Next up, just general mobbing within Ace, I guess, is kind of how I would say it. For solo, it does work incredibly well. In duo or trios or squads, the scaling will eventually become overwhelming. Over here, I didn't use my fourth ability where I should have in the middle of that circle, so I ended up losing out on time, but that's not too important over here. You can see in general, Ines does do very well, especially when you use her second ability in here. A shadow one shot to nuke that boss, a shadow one shot to nuke the pair of them bosses, and then just 3 or 4 slashes to nuke this boss too. Shadow is honestly my favorite sword, and it's probably the best sword in my opinion, so yeah, we'll go with that. Now over here, again, I was a little bit slow with this, but taking care of that elite, taking care of this elite, using the Ines ability over there to kill some more of them, taking care of that second one as well, then just going over here to take care of these ones. It is a lot easier if you know, just take time with it, but I like to be fast and also like to be efficient. So you can see over here, it does do very fast work of all the mobs and even the elites. Now for the final horde of mobs, or coming up to the final horde of mobs, you can just see how it works with her. She's fast, she'll just nuke everything and just passive DPS everywhere. Like Ines could literally be nuking a horde and you literally won't even know where they are. That's the type of Descendant she is. Now again, last wave of elites over here. I should have just used my fourth ability here, but I was like, yeah, I'm cool and I can just do it with the sword. I ended up realizing that I'm going to get my shit rocked if I do that, so I just decided to resort to the fourth ability. But again, here, just about aiming it, and again, just not falling to the traps and stuff like that. But there you go. Even in terms of this, when it comes to killing elites, I was not doing it very well because my aim was horrific. But let me show you the final boss and why you want to be using the shadow. Poof, literally dead. On to the second phase we go. Once he spawns his mobs again, cool, nice, dead. Shadow gameplay, ladies and gents. It's a very strong sword. This run I did in just under 3 minutes 20 seconds, but honestly I think with cooldown on the Ancestor, or if you do reach cooldown cap with this, and also place your Ines fourth ability correctly and actually kill the elites in a decent time frame, you could easily get this in under 2 minutes. So Ines is capable, and that pretty much wraps everything up for today's video. So anyways guys, I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please just smash that like button, and if you are new here, please do consider subscribing. I make plenty of videos on the first Descendant, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.